ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Larry Schoenbrun Jurisprudence Award Luncheon honoring Peter Kraus. Please welcome ADL Regional Board Chair Neil Goldberg.
Okay, everybody kind of find your seats. We love to respect everybody's time and keep a tight schedule. If I ramble on too long, just give me the hook. All right, I can honestly say that I am thrilled to welcome you to the Larry Schoenbrun Jurisprudence Award Luncheon. Today we pay tribute to our esteemed honoree, Peter Kraus. I don't know if everybody knows Peter, but it makes me feel good, deep inside, to be able to recognize a nice man like Peter. Your presence here today is both a testament to our honoree and a statement of support regarding ADL's commitment to bring about a just and more inclusive society. On behalf of ADL, I want to thank each of you for being here. For over 30 years, since 1989, this award has been presented annually to a member of the legal community for outstanding leadership and exemplary contributions to the community and a commitment to the ideals of ADL. Peter Kraus is being honored today in recognition of his commitment to those values of fighting hate, intolerance, bigotry, anti-Semitism, bullying, and intimidation. I think in a room full of lawyers, we can agree maybe to let intimidation slide today. We're not going to fight intimidation. Okay. Peter, please stand up to be recognized. Nah, keep standing. We want to recognize you. You know, I remember the days when I tried to shoot jump shots over this guy, so I had to go around him. In becoming a Larry Schoenbrun Jurisprudence Award recipient, Peter is in the company of highly regarded former honorees whose names appear on the screen and whose actions have positively impacted the legal and broader community through their commitment to equity and justice. Many past recipients are here with us today, and I ask them to stand with Peter and let us recognize them. Thank you, good people. You can sit down now. I'll give you a break. Like those who came before him, Peter inspires us to challenge hate and bigotry and to commit to securing a better future. Today, we welcome Peter to this group of outstanding leaders whose actions impact our community and improve the lives of all of us. We're in a very unique time where it seems nearly every day brings another anti-Semitic assertion, another extremist challenge to our elections, another high-profile person fueling intolerance. But I'm inspired. I'm inspired by people and leaders like Peter Kraus. I'm inspired by supporters like the people in this room that can gather together to make an affirmative statement that hate will not be tolerated. I love the quote from Edmund Burke that I'll kind of butcher and paraphrase, but it goes like this: the only thing necessary for the triumph of hate is for good men and women to do nothing. I believe in my heart of hearts in this room, I believe we're going to do something. We're not going to stand around, we're going to do something. It's imperative that everybody here, I'm preaching to the choir, but everybody here reaches out to their circle of friends and their circle of influence, and they preach the fight against hate. Also in this room, we're fortunate to have individuals who serve our community and who partner with ADL in the fight against hate. I have the privilege of recognizing them and ask them to stand when I call their names, or call your names, so we can thank you for your service to our community. Please hold your applause till the end so we can kind of stay on time. Our mayor, Eric Johnson, has not showed up yet, but I do thank him for trying to clear his schedule to be here. From the Dallas City Council, we welcome Councilmember Paul Ridley, Councilmember Janie Schultz, and Councilmember Gay Donnell Willis. From the law enforcement community, we have with us today Dallas County Sheriff Marion Brown, Arlington Police Chief Alexander Jones, Grand Prairie Police Chief Daniel Skeesney. I said hold applause. That was a tough name anyway for me to pronounce. Frisco Deputy Police Chief John Skirtich. Thank you all for making time. Thank you all for making the time to join with us today to honor Peter and raise awareness for ADL's mission. My personal commitment to ADL stems from the tremendous work I see happening here in our own community. As ADL Texoma Board Chair, I have a front row seat to see the many resources being provided to educators, to students, to law enforcement, and to the community at large every single day. While my role is voluntary, doing this work is a full-time job. And we are so fortunate to have a professional team in Texoma region leading these efforts every day. It is my pleasure to introduce and welcome to the stage ADL Texoma's Regional Director, Stacy Cushing.
Good afternoon. It is lovely to see so many of you here today, and it is a privilege to do this work. I join Neil in welcoming you all today. I want to extend my heartfelt appreciation to Peter for allowing us to honor you with the Jurisprudence Award. Also, I want to extend my many thanks to Lisa Blue Barron and Jeff Slutke, who've worked to create a meaningful luncheon and whose tremendous efforts have helped us achieve success. I am pleased to announce that today's luncheon has generated considerable support for ADL's mission. Thank you to our sponsors for your generosity. Only a few in this room know that I love the post office. Yes, I am saying it out loud. I love the post office. My local post office has a singing postal worker who brightens up your day with a song as every customer walks in. Why am I a post office fangirl? Well, as an operations person, I am fascinated with the efficiencies needed for millions of letters to move from one place to another, whether in my zip code or around the world. But as I learned more about the post office, its rich history, and have had the opportunity to visit small ones in rural towns, I learned that it was not the operations side that truly inspired me, but rather how the post office represents connectivity. Connectivity to people, connectivity to our government, and connectivity to our community. When the Continental Congress founded our postal system in 1775, they did so to connect the 13 colonies. Being able to communicate built unity. As the post office system grew, post offices became a place not only for people to get their mail, but also to socialize, exchange ideas, and learn about community happenings. Connectivity has changed since the post office was first established. People, especially young people, no longer connect with mail. They connect on social media, using apps to get their news, and very few actually get a newspaper. But to me, the post office is a symbol of the importance of connecting. To fight the alarming rise in anti-Semitism and hate, it is critical that we connect, we stand up, and we speak out. Our voices are louder and stronger when we do so together. In 2021, ADL's annual audit of anti-Semitic incidents reported that anti-Semitism is at an all-time high. Nationally, incidents grew 34%, and in our Texoma region, they grew 44%. We are witnessing hate growing at alarming rates. Each day, ADL shows up to combat hate by connecting. Our partnerships allow us to connect and fulfill our mission through our work with education, law enforcement, and legislative advocacy. We believe that education is the foundation for change. We use our expertise to connect students, teachers, and businesses to the tools needed to confront situations when they happen and to have the language for uncomfortable conversations. In K-12 schools, we are working with students to learn how to build allyship and to combat bias and bullying to stop the escalation in hate. During the last academic year, our No Place for Hate program impacted over 80,000 students and educators in our region alone. Our longtime partnership with local, state, and federal law enforcement puts us in a unique position to be an asset when needed. In January, when an extremist took the rabbi and 3 congregants hostage during a Shabbat service at Temple Bethel, Israel, in Colleyville, ADL was the connector in the midst of a crisis, providing intel, resources, and support to law enforcement and the community. And as Rabbi Charlie Citron Walker has stated, ADL provided the tools and knowledge to take action in a dire situation. Just a few months later in April, approximately 1,000 people came together for ADL's Walk Against Hate. In fact, the Dallas City Council signed a proclamation announcing April 3rd as Walk Against Hate Day in Dallas. They took a stand saying hate has no place in our city. In September, Dallas Mayor Eric Johnson joined with other mayors from major cities across the country signing on to the Mayor's Compact Against Hate and Anti-Semitism. Mayor Johnson also continues his active support for the Dallas Anti-Hate Advisory Council, a coalition he founded in 2021. ADL is proud to hold a seat on this board and help do the important work. All of our work to fight anti-Semitism and hate happens through connecting people, organizations, corporations, and schools to our work. ADL is connecting people who want a world without hate and want to fight it for good. Volunteer leadership is key to the impact that we make in our community. This hard and important work cannot be done without the guidance and support of our regional board. They are our most valued partners, and I'm grateful for their commitment. I'd like to also acknowledge the extraordinary leadership of our board chair, Neil Goldberg. Of course, over the last 2 years, yes, Neil, thank you. Neil has worked tirelessly to expand our impact in the region and guide us strategically for success. We are grateful for your commitment to ADL. The work to fulfill ADL's mission is one that the ADL team Texoma takes very seriously. We do so by building connections within the community. Thank you, Team Texoma, for the work you do, showing up, standing up, and fighting against hate. Finally, I want to thank Peter for allowing us to honor you with the Schoenbrun Jurisprudence Award. The Torah teaches that a person has 3 names. One, that we are called by our father and mother and conveys a parent's aspirations. The second is the one that people know us by from the outside. And the third is the one that we create and acquire through our deeds and actions. It is this third name that represents our essence and achievements. Peter is a husband, a father, an attorney, a law partner, and a mentor. Peter is also a philanthropist, an advocate, and an inspiration. Throughout his career, Peter has fought for consumer and victims' rights and has advocated for marginalized groups. He has been involved in various nonprofits, boards, and led pro bono civil rights cases. Peter is dedicated to fighting for justice and protecting the rights of all people. Today, ADL Texoma will connect Peter's fine name to the ideals represented by the Larry Schoenbrun Jurisprudence Award. We are adding your name to the list of distinguished honorees. Peter, thank you for the work you do within the community and being an advocate for all people. You are true inspiration of an example of how to use a platform for good and make change in a community. So during your lunch today, I encourage you to think about your table as a post office, a connecting place of ideas, thoughts, and perspectives. I'm not asking you to welcome your colleagues with song, but maybe take a moment to talk to a person you don't know, introduce yourself, and find your common ground. Our common goal, to fight hate of all kinds. As your lunch is being served, please turn your attention to the screen to better understand how ADL has been connecting for over a century to fulfill our mission to stop the defamation of Jewish people and secure fair and just treatment for all. Thank you.
Racism isn't only the problem of black people, it's all our problem. And homophobia isn't the problem of only gay people, it's all of our problem. Anti-Semitism only isn't an issue for the Jewish community, it is everyone's problem. And we know from history that Jews are the canary in the coal mine.
In 1913, the founders of ADL understood this truth. And then, catalyzed by the lynching of Leo Frank, they embraced a simple yet audacious mission: to stop the defamation of the Jewish people and secure justice and fair treatment to all. Hateful anti-Semitic stereotypes in the press, in the public square, in politics, we fought for us all. For Jews, for everyone. The right to vote, regardless of the color of your skin. The right to come to our shores, regardless of what country you hail from. The right to marry, regardless of sexual orientation. The right to be free from harassment, discrimination, or hate, regardless of your differences. Today, ADL continues to fight for us all. ADL is a century-old anti-hate organization, and we have only begun to fight. Against anti-Semitism, against all forms of hate, on the street, online, in the classroom, on campus, in the workplace, from City Hall to the halls of Congress to the halls of power in world capitals. We will continue to fight the hate that harms us all. ADL is the first call when acts of anti-Semitism occur. We are a recognized expert in the study of extremism. We are a worldwide leader in anti-bias education. We are the foremost authority and trailblazer in fighting hate online. And we are a relentless advocate for the civil rights of all. In 1913, our founders understood that America would only be safe for its Jews if it was safe for all its people. And since then, we have defended American values like dignity, equality, justice, and fair treatment for us all.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from Waters, Kraus, and Paul, Charles Siegel.
Hello, good afternoon. I first met Peter Kraus on the first day of law school 40 years ago this fall. By random happenstance, he and I were in the same section of our first year class at UT. This meant we had all of our classes together, we had a lot of parties together, and so on. And I've always thought of that random section grouping as one of the luckiest breaks in my personal and professional life. Peter and I had a lot of fun in law school and even managed to get in some studying. Once law school was over, we continued to have fun and even got in some studying for the bar. By some miracle or by some mistake by the graders, we both passed the bar. I should make it clear that if any mistake was made by the graders, it was on my exam, because Peter has since gone on to take several other bar exams and passed them all with flying colors. including the notoriously difficult California bar. Just a couple of years ago, he took, and of course he passed, the Hawaii bar. I said that meeting Peter in law school was one of the luckiest things that ever happened to me from a professional perspective. Why is that? Well, of course, Peter has built a firm with a national practice, a firm that has gotten excellent results for its clients. But I've also had the great fortune to be partners with someone who has always cared about the betterment of the profession. From day one, Peter has been active in AAJ, the professional organization of the plaintiffs' bar, as a board member, a committee member, and an educator. He's been very active over the years in the Texas Trial Lawyers Association. He has been equally active in the larger legal community as a whole, for example, in his ongoing work for the Federal Judicial Center. He served on committees to help guide judicial nominations, and he has consistently urged and enabled partners at our firm and young associates to do this kind of work as well. I also said that meeting Peter was a wonderful personal bit of luck, and that has remained true for 40 years now. Peter and Lisa were married just a few weeks after my Lisa and I were married. Our 3 children are contemporaries of Will, Nick, and Jack, and it's been a wonderful friendship for 4 decades. But the most important dimension to Peter, the reason we're here, one that transcends the personal and professional, is the concept of community. You should know that it's almost impossible to fully describe Peter's engagement, his commitment, and his effectiveness, because one is never really sure one knows everything he's involved in. It's always been faintly intimidating to be one of Peter's partners because in addition to all the legal work we see him doing and the work managing the day-to-day affairs of the firm and all the things he does for his family and all the political work and fundraising, we're always learning about some new cause he's supporting or some new organization he's serving. A small and incomplete list would include, in no particular order, his service as the present chair of the Current Issues Committee of the Dallas Holocaust and Human Rights Museum, his long service on the board of his children's school, Green Hill, his service on the board at KERA, his tireless work on the board at St. Paul's, where his wonderful father, William, practiced and taught for 35 years. His work at Duke, where he went to college and he was a key player on the water polo team, of all things. We all know, of course, that Peter would have starred in basketball at just about any other school besides Duke. This reminds me of another way in which I've just sort of hovered in Peter's shadow over the years. This was for a couple of years in the JCC Sunday Basketball League. I would just kind of hang around on the perimeter, and occasionally I would jack up a three-pointer, but mostly I would just lob it into Peter. Finally, I want to give you a very recent example of Peter Kraus, the essential mensch. Just last Friday, we learned that a colleague of ours in Washington, D.C., a fellow plaintiff's lawyer with whom we've worked over the years, was diagnosed with a virulent cancer. Peter emailed him and told him that if he needed any help in his cases, just to let us know, we'd enter appearances and we'd get to work. And Peter made it clear that we wouldn't want any part of the fee on those cases. He was just trying to think of a way to be helpful. The lawyer responded as follows: "Thank you, Peter. This kind of support is very meaningful. We'll let you know if we need a lift. You are a mensch." And that sums up Peter's relationship with the community for decades now. Unsolicited, deeply meaningful, and effective help for no reason other than providing a lift to us all. So please turn your attention to the video screens now to learn a bit more about Peter, his work, and why he is so deserving of the ADL Jurisprudence Award.
I met Peter at Barron and Bud, and I remember thinking, I wonder if he plays basketball.
It didn't take long before we saw Peter on the basketball court and realized, no, he did not have any talent for basketball.
His basketball career did flourish once he reached the 40 and over league at the JCC in Dallas.
You know, even there at the lame JCC Sunday morning league, he tries hard. He wants to win.
It's probably becoming less responsible for him to play basketball with each succeeding year.
I don't know if he's allowed to play basketball by my mom, so he's working on his golf game now. Well, the first days are the hardest days, don't you worry anymore.
Growing up in Dallas in the 60s and 70s, it was great. My mom was originally from Kentucky. After college, she went in the Red Cross and went to Japan in the early 50s and met my father. My dad grew up in Augsburg, Germany, in Bavaria, and his father was Gentile, was Catholic, and his mother was Jewish. When he was about 11 or 12 years old, the Nazis took over, and he experienced prejudice and hatred firsthand. And they both survived the war. My father, after the war, taught himself English, and he went to work for the occupation forces. And in 1947, they were able to immigrate to the United States, and he wanted to go to college. My father had been accepted to Harvard in 1939, and he couldn't get out of Germany. He dug the acceptance letter out of a trunk in the rubble of his home after the war. His home had been destroyed in a bombing raid. He took the train to Boston, and he went to the admissions office in Cambridge and said, "Here," showed him the letter, and they said, "Well, what happened to you?" And he told them the story. And they said, "Oh my God, when do you want to start?" He wanted to be a doctor, and they said, "Look, because of what you've been through, finish your pre-med requirements, we'll admit you straight away into Harvard Medical School." And my father graduated from Harvard Medical School, and he never got an undergraduate degree. My dad was a doctor at St. Paul Hospital. He was one of the first cardiologists in Dallas. My mother still lives at age 94. But I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to follow my father into medicine, but I wasn't great at the basic sciences, and I frankly wasn't as disciplined a student as I should be. And I also had always loved history from an early age. When I was in college and not doing so well in calculus and chemistry, I started focusing on history and thinking maybe pre-law. When I got my grades back on the LSAT and realized I maybe have an aptitude for this.
We met through a mutual friend who invited a group of us out to a dance club to listen to a band, and Peter and I ended up talking most of the night and dancing and really having a fun time together. The day after I met Peter, I called my mom and I told her I had met a tall Texan with a good heart, and I thought I might like him, and that was 36 years ago.
ADL is honoring Peter Kraus because of his achievement as a lawyer at the very top of his field, and also for the extraordinary leadership skills that he has brought to the community.
Peter, in my opinion, is a once-in-a-generation leader.
We don't represent any corporations or any big people. We represent people that have had terrible injuries, either in the workplace or as a result of their environment, and we try to give them the representation that they need in order to get justice in our system.
And I think the jury really loves that about Peter. When he stepped up to the jury box, he just had everybody's attention immediately. They all wanted to know what Peter had to say. He was clear, he was to the point, he was funny, and just had a great way of expressing himself.
You can't beat Peter in the courtroom because you can't out-prepare Peter.
Whenever I think of Peter, he makes me smile. He's not just going to stand up in front of the crowd and say, this is what we should do. He's going to say, this is what we are doing, and come alongside me, come join me.
He has Jewish roots, and I think that has helped him connect to the museum in a really special way, because he cares both about the history of the Holocaust and about our expanded mission to combat prejudice and hatred and indifference.
Peter grew up knowing what his father had been through and knowing that you can't take anything for granted, not the freedoms we have, not the lifestyle we lead.
Even though he's only 25% Jewish by blood, he 100% exemplifies the mitzvah of tikkun olam.
He brings the same passion to everyone.
Peter is a kind and loving person. He cares about his family, his friends, his colleagues. His clients are very important to him.
Very well connected in the political arena, whether it's golf with President Obama, hosting President Biden at his home, his long friendship with Harry Reid.
I remember my dad sort of made a deal with the three of us where we could all choose one video game that we had all been wanting to buy if we could memorize a list of facts about each senator that was coming to our house.
One thing that used to drive like me and my brothers insane when we were kids is he would embellish stories for like dramatic effects. I was on this road trip. My friends were like, "Kraus, you're so dramatic." Oh my God, I'm becoming my dad, you know?
My mom is such a great partner to my dad because not only do they share this commitment to their values and to the community and to engagement, but they also, I think, just really support each other.
All the success I had in the world happened after I met Lisa Vick. My professional success, my personal success, my family, my boys that I love so much, all of that come from Lisa.
Well, that's sweet. Thank you for saying that.
It's true.
It's a buck dancer's choice, my friends. Better take my advice.
Please welcome back ADL Regional Board Chair Neil Goldberg.
Wow, Peter, very impressive. As you saw in the tribute video and heard from Charles, Peter Kraus is a tremendous leader, and he's very worthy of this recognition today. Our community is strengthened by leaders like Peter who work to continually improve our world and who share a passion for so many worthwhile causes. It is my great pleasure and privilege to present this award to Peter Kraus. We could not be prouder to recognize him for his outstanding leadership in the legal community and his embodiment of ADL values. Please join me in congratulating this year's recipient of the Larry Schoenbrun Jurisprudence Award, Peter Kraus. Please join me on stage. We've already taken these pictures before, but.
Thanks. Wow. That's a bit unnerving to see such a nice tribute. I want to first thank my law partner, Charles Siegel. As he told you, we've been friends for a long time and law partners for decades, and he is, as you can see, one of the smartest lawyers and best oral advocates that I know. I also want to thank my partners and our associates and employees at Waters, Kraus, and Paul, many of them who are here today, particularly Andy Waters, my founding partner at the firm who flew in from LA. We're a team at the firm, and everything I have accomplished as a lawyer is the collective accomplishment of all of us at the firm. So thank you all. I'm particularly indebted to my co-chairs, Jeff Slotky and Lisa Blue. They're each leaders in the bar. They're my friends for decades. And in the case of Lisa, she's a mentor. She taught me how to pick juries and try cases. Thank you, ADL Texoma, for this great honor. When I look at the past honorees, it's humbling to have my name included with such outstanding leaders in the bar in our community. I'll endeavor every day to live up to the example that they set. I'm particularly honored to receive this award with Larry Schoenbrun's name on it. I've gotten to know Larry through our work together at the Dallas Holocaust and Human Rights Museum Board. As Mary Pat said on the video, she and her outstanding team teach school children to be upstanders. Larry models upstander behavior every day as a leader in the bar in our community. I also want to thank my family and my friends for all the incredibly nice things you said on the video, or mostly nice things. Yeah, I don't have Charles's jump shot or Neil Goldberg's jump shot, but Neil, you can't teach 6'7". I got that going for me. My friend Cappy McGar told me to be short, and he said, no, it's not going to work, you're 6'7". So, but I would not be here today, seriously, without the love and support of Lisa and Will, Nick, and Jack. I love you all very much. I want to thank all of you, all the sponsors, and everyone who came today and financially supported the mission of ADL Texoma. As Stacy told you, ADL is on the front lines every day combating prejudice, hate crimes, and anti-Semitism. All of those have risen alarmingly over the past decade. You've significantly helped ADL in their fight with your contribution and your attendance here today. I want to talk a little bit about the story you saw in the video. I'm sure many of you recently saw Ken Burns' documentary on the history of the Holocaust in the United States. It was difficult for me to watch this documentary telling the story of the officially sanctioned anti-Semitism in our United States State Department in the 1930s. The doors of the United States were slammed shut to tens of thousands of Jews attempting to flee the Nazis before World War II. Many, if not most, of those failed refugees did not live to see the end of the war. As you now know after seeing that lovely video, I have a personal reason that Mr. Burns' documentary resonated with me and for valuing and supporting the work of ADL. Hitler came to power in 1933 and my father was 11. As the war approached and he and his family understood what was coming, as they faced a rising tide of discrimination, hatred, and persecution, like millions of Jews across Germany and Europe, he realized that he needed to leave, and he applied to college in the United States. He was accepted, and the Nazi government actually gave him approval to leave for college in the United States, but our State Department would not issue him an educational visa to come and go to school in the United States. They said it was a subterfuge to try to escape the Nazis. My father lived the story that Ken Burns told in his documentary. Instead of Harvard, he was arrested by the Nazis, and he spent the last 2 years of the war in a prison camp as a slave laborer. As you saw in the video, my grandmother also survived 3 years in Theresienstadt, a ghetto concentration camp. She was the only one of her 13 siblings to survive the war. As you saw, my father had a happy ending. After he graduated from medical school and he met my mother and married her, he served our country as a doctor in the United States Army, and they moved to Dallas just before I was born. He and my mother raised me and my brothers and sister in a loving and secure home, far removed from the terror he suffered as a young man. When I was a child and a young man, I took for granted my freedom and security growing up in a tolerant home. But what Ken Burns' documentary and my father's lived experience tells us is that hatred anti-Semitism and intolerance are never far below the surface. As civil discourse in our country has deteriorated and become more hateful in recent years, it feels like our democratic institutions and the rule of law are under attack as never in recent memory. As Stacy told you, the statistics are troubling, a couple of more. Anti-Semitic incidents nearly tripled between 2015 and 2021. 1 in 4 American Jews reported experiencing anti-Semitism in the past year. Reported hate crimes targeting the Jewish community made up nearly 60% of all religion-based hate crimes. Persistent discrimination against our Black and brown communities continue. It is not only anti-Semitism. During COVID, attacks against people of Asian and Pacific Island descent soared. Inevitably, what follows are racially motivated hate crimes like Charlottesville, the attacks on the synagogue in Pittsburgh, shootings at a predominantly Black supermarket in Buffalo and a predominantly Hispanic Walmart in El Paso, and scores of other hate crimes and anti-Semitic incidents, large and small, across our country. As you saw, it's not just news we see here. In the Metroplex, we had a terrorist take 4 hostages at Beth Israel Synagogue in Colleyville. He died in a shootout with police, but fortunately this time the hostages escaped unscathed. Hatred and anti-Semitism also happen in Dallas-Fort Worth. We cannot and we must not ever accept prejudice, hatred, and anti-Semitism as a norm in our country. Well, how can we make a difference? Well, we can all be upstanders like Larry Schoenbrun and the ADL. We can stand up every day to hatred, prejudice, and indifference. It's not always easy to be an upstander. It can be uncomfortable or scary to confront hatred and anti-Semitism. When my father looked back on his experiences in the Holocaust, he so respected the non-Jewish people who risked their lives to help him and his community and his family. He wondered if he would have had the courage to make the choice they made to be upstanders. The Nazis made the choice for him which side he was on. Fortunately for us, we do not need to risk our lives to be upstanders. We can be upstanders by being active in our community. For me, as you heard, it includes my work on the Holocaust and Human Rights Board, currently serving on the KERA board to support fact-based journalism, which combats the disinformation poisoning our public discourse today. This is a jurisprudence award, and there are many incredible lawyers in this room today. At the kickoff reception in the spring, I said that with our law licenses, we can not only make a living, but we can make a difference. We lawyers can all be upstanders with the pro bono work we do and the cases and the clients that we choose. I'll give you a couple of examples. Some of the most rewarding work I've done in recent years involved a suit our firm filed with the Texas Civil Rights Project to enforce the National Voter Registration Act. We were successful, and as a result, the Department of Public Safety now registers to vote thousands of Texans who changed their driver's license online. For our firm, being upstanders meant working to protect access to our democracy. In another case, we brought suit against the leader of an anti-Muslim hate group. He was a disgraced former FBI agent who ostensibly trained law enforcement officers to recognize the threat of Islamic terrorism in their communities. In reality, he taught racial profiling, that any woman wearing a hijab or man with a Muslim name and a beard was a presumed terrorist. After the hate group leader defamed and then physically assaulted my client, the sheriff of Minneapolis, for sounding the alarm to law enforcement about this hate group. Our suit and the ensuing judgment helped end his career spreading hatred and prejudice in the law enforcement community. These are a couple of examples, but we can all be upstanders with our law licenses, and we should. But the easiest way for us all to be an upstander is to support the important work of ADL. As you heard, they too train police officers. ADL trains law enforcement to recognize and diffuse hatred and intolerance in our community and in their own ranks. They train our teachers to recognize and diffuse hatred in our children's classrooms. They are always the first to call out anti-Semitic acts and statements and make sure hatred and prejudice never become the new normal, like in Germany in the 1930s. Give of your time, participate in the walk against hate, and encourage your firm and your friends to join you. At Waters, Kraus, and Paul, we do. It's a great team-building exercise. In closing, I ask you all to please continue to support ADL's important work financially. You have done so by being here today, but there is more to be done, and ADL needs all of our help and support. There is a QR code on the inside cover of your program, and that will take you directly to ADL's site. Thanks to all of you again for your presence here today, and thank you, ADL Texoma, for this great honor.
Please welcome back ADL Regional Board Chair Neil Goldberg.
Okay, I'm going to have to say wow again. Peter, couldn't have said it better myself. On behalf of ADL Texoma Regional Board, congratulations. You inspire us all. Your commitment to stand up every day, to make meaningful change, and you are truly deserving of this award. I want to thank all of you today for being here, for helping to make this a memorable day for Peter. I know a lot of you came today to pay tribute to Peter. I know some of you came today to honor the jurisprudence honorees of the past. I know others of you came to support ADL, but I do feel very strongly all of us are here to support the fight against hate and discrimination. Our hope is that each of you leaves here today better informed about ADL's important work with a commitment to stand with us to fight hate for good. Thank you and have a great afternoon. Congratulations.